The Arctic has always been imagined as a place beyond understanding, a border where the familiar world dissolves into silence and light. To most civilizations, it was the edge of the map, a white emptiness drawn only with wind and fear. But to those who lived there, it was never empty. It was alive, a realm of spirits, ancestors, and stories carved into ice and memory. For thousands of years, people have stared toward the north, searching for something more than geography. Ancient Greek scholars spoke of a land called Hyperborea, a paradise hidden beyond the north wind. Chinese chronicles mentioned icy kingdoms where the sun never set. Even Norse sagas whispered of frozen seas that led to the realm of gods and giants. To modern eyes, the Arctic looks like a void, a wilderness too cold, too far, too silent. But under its vast sheet of ice lies a history far older than we imagine. Archaeologists today are discovering traces of human life in places thought uninhabitable. Stone circles on tundra plateaus, burial mounds sealed in permafrost, and cave carvings that seem to merge myth and map. It's not just about survival, it's about imagination. In the north, everything speaks. The ice groans, the sky dances, the wind tells stories. For the Inuit, these were not metaphors, they were truth. Every creature, every storm, every breath of air carried intention. To live there meant living in dialogue with the invisible. Perhaps that's why Arctic myths have always blurred the line between the real and the impossible. They are stories of transformation. Humans becoming animals, spirits becoming stars. The world itself breathes and remembers. And as the ice slowly melts in our age, what it releases are not just rivers but memories. Echoes of those who once believed the Arctic was the world's beating heart. Long before explorers mapped the poles, people of the North built invisible kingdoms. From Siberia to Greenland, they told of spirits that moved through light, of ancestors who lived inside mountains of ice. Among the Inuit, there is the tale of Sedna, the sea mother who once lived as a woman, betrayed by her father and cast into the freezing ocean. Her fingers, cut away in desperation, became the whales, seals, and fish. Even now, shamans dive into trance to visit her beneath the waves, seeking forgiveness for hunters who have taken too much. In northern Europe, the Sami people spoke of Bivi, the sun goddess who traveled through the sky each day, carrying the promise of warmth and rebirth. Her return after the long polar night was celebrated with offerings of reindeer fat and pine branches. To them, light itself was sacred, not just a physical force, but a bridge to the divine. Across the polar world, myths like these form a single pattern. Light and darkness are not enemies. They are lovers, eternally chasing one another across the sky. Every dawn is a promise renewed, every dusk a surrender to memory. Even the Norse, fierce and sea-born, placed their gods in the north. They believed the frost giants, Jotnar, came from icy realms beyond Midgard. The aurora, those shifting green and violet curtains, were said to be reflections from the armor of Valkyries riding across the heavens. And far in the east, Chukchi and Evenki shamans traced those same lights, as the pathways of souls returning home. Where one people saw battle, another saw reunion. Different languages, same wonder. Different myths, same message. The north was not emptiness. It was the axis of creation. When scientists drill into Greenland's ice, they are reading history. Each layer captures a breath of time. Volcanic ash, pollen, trapped air older than pyramids. But there are layers even deeper, layers not yet explained. In 2018, beneath nearly a kilometer of ice, radar revealed the outline of a massive crater. It wasn't the mark of human hands. It was something cosmic. Perhaps an asteroid impact from 12,000 years ago, just when global temperatures suddenly shifted and ancient species disappeared. That same period birthed myths of flood and fire in cultures across the planet. Could it be that the Arctic was the stage where one of humanity's oldest memories was written? Geologists see climate data. Mythologists see collective memory. The way humans turned catastrophe into story, so the lesson would never vanish. The ice may have sealed away more than air. In the Siberian permafrost, perfectly preserved mammoths emerge, their flesh and hair intact after millennia. Nearby, fragments of tools and weapons appear. Signs that humans hunted, survived, adapted. And among those artifacts, we find something harder to categorize. Carvings of half-human, half-animal figures. Eyes closed as if dreaming the world into being. Perhaps they were totems. Perhaps portraits of gods we've forgotten. Or maybe, as one Arctic anthropologist once said, they carved what they saw inside their minds when the wind spoke. Every civilization leaves ruins. The Arctic leaves whispers. It is memory frozen in code only the patient can read. Modern science approaches the Arctic with instruments, ground-penetrating radar, drones, satellites, and sensors that can read the planet's pulse. But the Arctic resists being measured. It's not only a landscape. It's a consciousness. Anthropologists studying northern myth have noticed something remarkable. Though separated by thousands of miles, many Arctic cultures share symbols, circles, spirals, twin lights. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of living under a sky that never sleeps. In the far north, time behaves differently. The sun can vanish for months, then refuse to set. This rhythm shapes both biology and belief. When life depends on patience, observation becomes religion. Science now confirms what shamans intuited. Light affects not just the eye but the mind. The aurora's electromagnetic pulses influence brainwaves, altering human perception. Perhaps the origin of visions that ancient people called divine. Meanwhile, deep-sea mapping around the Arctic Circle reveals structures that look suspiciously geometric. Ridges, walls, patterns too regular for coincidence. Some claim they are natural formations. Others whisper of lost cultures swallowed by ice. The debate continues, but the fascination remains. The Arctic blurs boundaries between science and myth, body and spirit, past and present. And as satellites capture new data from melting ice sheets, they also expose the oldest truth humans ever told, that the world itself is alive, and we are only guests passing through its memory. When the last ice age ended, sea levels rose, coasts changed, and whole ecosystems vanished. Yet stories endured. The people of the North carried them like lanterns, reminders of what happens when balance is lost. Today, as glaciers retreat and permafrost releases ancient air, those same myths return like warnings. They speak not of doom, but of responsibility. The Inuits say that when humans forget their promises, the ice remembers. The Norse spoke of Ragnarok, not as the end, but as renewal. Destruction, then rebirth. A cycle written not in stone, but in snow. Across generations, these tales kept knowledge alive without books or empires. They encoded weather patterns, migrations, even ethics, teaching people how to live with, not against, the earth. Now science and story meet again. One measures melting ice. The other explains why it matters. Together they form a new mythology, not about gods or monsters, but about us and the fragile warmth that lets us exist. Stand in the Arctic today and you can still feel it. The hum beneath the silence, the pulse beneath the frost. It's not the sound of machines or wind. It's something older. Maybe the earth does remember. Maybe those ancient voices beneath the ice are not lost, just waiting for someone to listen. Because the Arctic is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of the story we almost forgot to tell.